They thought humanity would burn in silence. They thought war was inevitable. But when the cannons of 10,000 worlds aimed at Earth, one voice, one word, changed everything. This is the story of the last human word that stopped a galactic war. The Galactic Senate was an endless dome of stars, carved from the heart of a hollowed asteroid orbiting a dying sun. It had seen countless declarations of war, peace, betrayal, and empire. But never before had it seen this. A single human, standing alone before 1,000 alien delegates with nothing but words to defend their kind. Her name was Lyra Marin. She was not a general, nor a politician, nor a priest. She was a linguist, chosen because every other attempt had failed. Diplomats had pleaded, generals had threatened, philosophers had reasoned. And still, the galaxy had turned against humanity. Why? Because humanity had done the unforgivable, survived. For centuries, the major empires believed Earth was a fragile world destined to collapse. Yet humanity spread, slowly, stubbornly, into colonies where others had perished. We adapted where machines rusted. We endured where gods had failed. That endurance frightened them. They called us a contagion, a mistake in the galactic order, a threat not because of strength, but because of persistence. Now, the Senate was convened to vote on the final cleansing, a polite phrase for extermination. Fleets already gathered on the edges of Sol. The war was moments away, and into this storm, Lyra walked alone. The chamber stretched endlessly above her, delegates suspended in gravity wells like constellations. Voices thundered in alien tongues vibrating the dome itself. The species is unstable. They multiply beyond reason. They are fragile, yet dangerously enduring. They will consume the stars. Lyra's heart pounded as translators echoed in her ears. Every word was another nail in humanity's coffin. Finally, the Speaker of the Senate, an ancient being whose body resembled a shifting nebula, addressed her. "Human," it said, the word sharp, almost poisonous. "You may speak your defense, but know this: no word has ever stopped a war once the vote begins." Lyra lifted her head. Her voice trembled, but carried. "You are wrong." The chamber stilled. A billion eyes, organic and artificial, fixed on her. She breathed in. This was not about arguing policy or proving worth. Humanity had already been weighed and found wanting. She had to give them something else, something they could not ignore. She began not with speeches, but with stories. She told them of the first sailors who crossed Earth's oceans in fragile wooden ships, guided only by stars, of the plague survivors who rebuilt cities from ashes, of farmers who planted seeds knowing they would never live to see the harvest. "Fragile?" she asked. "Yes, we are fragile. But fragility is not weakness. Fragility is the reason we endure. Because we know how easily life can be lost, we protect it with everything we are." Delegates shifted uneasily. Some sneered, others listened. She went on. She spoke of music carried across centuries, of words carved into stone and data crystals, of children, no, of descendants, singing the same songs long after empires crumbled. "Strength is not in the metals of your fleets," she said, eyes sweeping across the chamber. "It is in the words we choose to keep alive." The speaker's voice boomed, "Enough! Words cannot outweigh survival. The fleets wait. You have one final chance. Speak your last word, human, the word you think can stop war." Lyra froze. Her mind went blank. One word. How could one word save billions? Then slowly, she remembered the stories of her ancestors. In every language of Earth, across every culture, there had been one word, simple, fragile, yet unbreakable. She looked into the abyss of alien eyes, into the cold glare of machines, into the burning hatred of empires, and she whispered it. "Remember!" The word echoed through the chamber, amplified by translators, carried into 1,000 tongues. Remember, it struck like lightning, for in that single word, every delegate was forced to face their own past. The machine empires remembered when they had once been flesh, before they turned themselves into cold immortality. The ancient species remembered their first fires, their first struggles against extinction. Even the speaker, whose body had become a nebula, remembered the time it had been a fragile creature on a fragile world. The word cut deeper than any threat, sharper than any bargain. It was not a plea, it was a command. Remember who you were before power. Remember why you fought to live. Remember why war must not decide everything. The Senate chamber fell silent. Hours passed. The fleets waited, cannons armed, stars trembling with tension. Finally, the speaker rose again. "The vote," it said. "The proposal for final cleansing is withdrawn." Gasps echoed. Humanity's execution had been halted, not by weapons, not by armies, but by a single word. Lyra collapsed, tears streaking her face. She had not saved humanity forever. Wars would still come, prejudices would still burn. But in that moment, she had given Earth something far more powerful than peace. Time. Time to grow, time to prove, time to endure. Generations later, scholars across the galaxy would teach this moment as the day war was silenced by a single human word. They would study Lyra's speech, argue about its meaning, carve it into monuments. But among humans, the story was simpler. They remembered. They told their children and their children's children of the day when fragility became strength, of the day when one voice spoke for billions. And always, they ended the story with the word itself: remember. And so, a galactic war ended not with fire, but with a whisper. If one word could save a species, imagine what stories can do for us now. If this tale moved you, subscribe, share it, and keep the stories alive. Because remembering is what makes us human.